Hello, everybody. I hope that you are doing well. Welcome to Michelle's Inspiration Hour. And I hope that every episode brings you joy and inspiration. Most of all, inspiration. All right. So I know we need to be inspired in our lives. So I am so excited about bringing our next guest out. She has written this wonderful book. Very easy to read, and it really makes you think about how you can self-improve, and you may see a little bit of yourself in it, and you're going, oh, maybe I need to improve myself somewhere. But I am actually going to read a little bit from her book, because when I saw this, I thought, oh gosh, I got to let everybody know. But her book is The Courage Circle. Okay, How to Live in Truth and Dare. And it's by Sandy Stream. So let me go ahead, and the title is Freedom. All right, so here we go. Imagine walking around life being you, not caring what others think about you, not needing anyone's approval, accepting all your feelings, passions, and interests, not feeling like you need to perform, not needing to shop, drink, or medicate to feel better. It's possible. Just remember who you are, a free spirit, the rest will follow. Again, this is a very fantastic book. So let's hear about what Sandy is all about. So, Sandy Stream is an author and an activist whose work is built on the belief that everyone deserves and is capable of finding peace and warrior like strength within themselves. After teaching law for 20 years, raising her two children, and facing a life full of adversities and lessons, she decided to turn her efforts towards facilitating workshops for young and experienced adults to encourage them to live in peace and power. So let's bring her on. Hey, Sandy.
Hi, nice to be here.
Oh, I am so excited, as you can tell. And
Uh,
it's just because when you read a book, and it really, to me, when you learn through it and it keeps your interest, that is very difficult to do as an author, and of course, we see a lot of you in it as well. But I'm going to go ahead and bring a picture of it up. So if you're listening, it's the Courage Circle, How to Live in Truth and Dare. Okay. So let me ask you a question, Sandy. So whenever you started writing this book, you said that you put all your lessons that you've learned in life. So is it from being a lawyer? Is it from raising children? Or is it over general life lessons?
yeah, definitely not from being a lawyer. That didn't teach me the life lessons I needed. And I wish we had some kind of school where we can learn these lessons. I mean, we learn them over life, but it would be nice to have, just these kind of conversations in general. So, we don't have to suffer maybe as long as some of us have to. But no, I guess they were learned through difficulty, right? It's through difficult times that we look for answers and look
Mhm.
for what to do. And so I guess they were learned in my deepest and most difficult moments.
All right. So the question I have next is, and I absolutely love circles. I don't know what it is about it, but on the title, on the cover, you have the circle and someone actually drawing the circle, but not finishing it. So tell me what your thought process was creating this.
The truth is, it's a book about truth, right? So the
Right.
truth is that I actually painted a circle in my own living room, pretty low on the floor,
Right.
during very difficult times that I was going through during COVID, where I decided I'm just going to sit here and figure this out. What's going on? How do I live? My relationships, so much mess in every single way. So I kept sitting in this circle. I didn't know it would be called the courage circle at the time, but definitely courage was a word that was constantly on my mind in terms of how to flip the switch, I guess, from where my life was at to where, I knew that I had to go towards. So courage was kind of always on my mind as a word. And then eventually, when I put my pieces together for myself, all the notes, to help myself, and it's not like one thing, it's not, oh, yeah, sit and meditate for 10 minutes a day, you're going to feel fine. No, it doesn't really work like
Right.
that. It was many pieces
Hmm.
And I put those pieces together for myself. So I kind of operate well now in life, just in general, no matter what's going on. I kind of have like, a little manual for myself
Yeah.
to feel well. And so I put it together as a book and published
Hmm.
that. And now I'm also facilitating circles, like real, I guess, circles with
Hmm.
others
Oh,
to
right.
discuss these topics. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let me ask you before we go on to what the circles are all about. So, uh, have you finished the circle yet? Because the circle is not complete, and it's
Yeah.
one of those things. Are you going to complete it, or when do you know the circle is complete?
Yeah, so actually, it ended up being a bit of a metaphor for all the chapter. And the first
Oh,
chapter
okay.
is actually to draw, the courage circle. So maybe you could see it as it's not finished, you're like starting to draw it. So,
Okay.
first chapter is to just draw it because the courage circle is not a circle like necessarily with others. It's really around yourself, where you're looking
Hmm.
inward for the answers and for the direction of how to live your life. And then as the chapters move along, so the next chapter, the imagery of the chapter is you're going to
Hmm.
sit in your circle and maybe be confused or lost in life. Then the next chapter, the image is, you're going a
Hmm.
little bit crazy in your circle, a lot of old feelings and this, and nothing wrong with that. Just starting to feel all your experiences fully instead of avoiding your pain and avoiding things in your life, so
Hmm.
that you're still in the circle kind of sitting and feeling, and it might be a little bit chaotic, and that's normal and healthy, I think, as part of the process. And then eventually, maybe you settle in your circle, so now you're
Right.
sitting in the circle but a bit more settled. That would, I think, the chapter 4. Then it's time for courage. So then it's time to stand up, to stand up for yourself, stand up for whatever you might need to stand up for in your
Hmm.
life. And then maybe walk out of that circle into the world and do what you are to do, I guess, whatever that is, each person. So,
Right. Right. Yeah, and
yeah,
you're
so it's
right.
an imagery that goes through
Yeah.
the book. Yeah.
And I absolutely love that because, yeah, everybody goes through different processes. And so their circles are completely different, even though it's
Mhm.
a circle. And I love how you talked about, can we kind of dive into your book a little bit?
Sure, whatever you like. Going with the flow, Michelle.
I love how you use the calculator as, that people, because to me, the calculator that you use, the symbol of it is that, we tend to use our logical thinking too much. And,
Yeah.
you don't want you want to explain that. I don't want to explain it for you. Go ahead and explain what you meant by using the calculator.
Yeah, so the image we came up with my illustrator is that you can just imagine like your head being like a calculator, literally with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever else. And, this part of our brain is really thinking all the time and calculating. So it calculates,
Mhm.
her house is bigger than mine. I should be this size, not that size. It's calculating, comparing, and thinking and
Uh-huh.
analyzing all day. And so that's the calculator. And we kind of think that that's who we are, you know. And
Mhm.
then there's the other part of us, which is below the head, the body, basically.
Mhm.
And I use the word in the book, decorporated, that we've been
Yes.
decorporated, right? So our bodies have been cut off from ourselves for thousands of years by
Mhm.
demonizing emotions, by many other things. So we kind of live just in the head, and we're not used to actually living in the body. And the body is more like, your feelings, your heart. Some people might say your spirit, your soul, your guts, whatever words doesn't really matter, but you feel yourself at a different level when you're in the feeling as opposed to in the thinking. And so
Mhm.
part of this book is to encourage people to, notice that that's just a calculator and to start to
Mhm.
live with, guided by your inner space that's not that. And then we
Right.
still use our calculator, but we use it for purposes to carry out
Mhm.
what we've decided from an inner place, right? So
Mhm.
let's say, in my inner place, I decide that I think I should build a tree house for whatever reason. That's just something I feel
Mhm.
that I need to do. So I might use my calculator to calculate, the size of the wood and all these things, but the drive is from the deeper place and not from this, comparing or trying to live up to some theoretical standard that doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't even know what that standard is.
I love
I don't
that.
know what that is.
Yeah, 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 absolutely, and I do love the, analogy of it all because I thought that to me because it's almost like your ego gets in the way too of your thinking. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, you're comparing yourself with others and your ego's getting in the way, but then again, you need to use that in purpose for making those good decisions in a factual way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can make decisions, from your heart,
Mhm.
and then you can use your logic to see how, what to do. Like, it's not that we don't use logic, right? But it's
Right.
just not the only thing that we are driven by, right? We have a deeper
Yes.
self. If
Yes.
we spend time with ourself, we get to know that self instead of criticizing that self or trying to change that self, but just get to know it and
Mhm.
understand it and be kind to it. Then we kind of know what we need to do in our life from that inner feeling of what we should do, like an inner compass, I guess.
And I love that because I think by the end of your book, people are really going to say, you know what, I'm not bad after all, because of the negativity that they have developed through their lifetime. Um,
Yeah,
what I thought about doing, if this is okay with you, is I took
sure.
different. You go okay, whatever. And it's still about your
You,
book,
you,
but what I did is I went through the book, and each section has different pages or different things that you talk about. And what I did is I took in those, and you're going to find a little bit about me, but then I'm going to ask you something um, to tell you what I really that it really resonated with me.
mm,
Okay. So whenever you're the very first chapter, I guess they're chapters, but
mm,
nothing is wrong like finding you. And the
mm.
one thing that resonated with me was your posture. Because growing up, my grandparents would always say, stand up straight. Why are you slouching? And I'm going, why are they telling me this? But when when I read the words, I went, oh, well, that makes perfect sense because a lot of times with your posture, you are hiding yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you're doing. It's not like a rule. Like, if
Right.
you're all rigid, straight posture, then you're very controlled or controlling yourself, right? Or
Right.
if you're forward, you might be feeling a bit low or bad about
Yeah.
yourself. Or, if you're back, you might be actually avoiding a lot of things.
Oh,
So it's interesting to kind of just see how we around in the world, not as a criticism and nothing
right.
to fix, right? Just
Right.
to see, what am I feeling and why am I feeling that? So if you are feeling like you notice, like, yeah, I'm kind of like caved in and I'm hiding a little bit and all that, to see like, where did I learn to do that? Who has told me, that
Hmm.
somehow I'm not good or something's wrong with me or something like that.
Right.
Like we get that messaging 24/7, literally, from the human beings and media and everything else, that something is like defective basically in us. I just don't buy that story. And so that's what helps me, go through my
Mhm.
life. I've completely questioned that concept for myself and for anyone I interact with.
And I
Yeah,
love how you said that because I think, being younger, when my grandparents would say that, they didn't mean anything by it. But I
sure.
did take that as criticism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you do, and I think a lot of that you hear it over and over again. It's like, I'm not gonna do it anymore. But
Yeah,
I
and it's
do,
in
yeah,
the tone, right? It's not even
right,
the words. It's in the
right,
tone of voice, that whatever you're doing things wrong. You're not doing this right. You should do this. Why aren't you doing this? This is the right thing to do. This is,
mhm,
it's a constant telling us that, how we feel is not okay or what we're choosing
yeah,
is not okay, or, having that at a constant basis in life. For sure you second guess yourself and,
right,
okay, I better do this, or I guess I should do that, or I guess this is right again. Of course you're overthinking and second guessing because
right.
you're not surrounded by human beings who are like, oh, really? You feel comfortable sitting that way? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You know
absolutely,
how different that would be, right?
then I wouldn't have
Interesting.
that then I would have had a
That
different page
complex.
that I was looking at.
Right.
Yeah, or the complex. And
Yeah.
also, okay, so this one I found too, it's
Mm,
interesting.
mm,
Control and beliefs.
mm,
Because that's one thing that with myself, I've really had to work at. The beliefs that really have been taught to me is all in controlling. And so reading that, I really resonate with that because it's so hard to let go of the belief system so that you can be yourself.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of the belief systems I've encountered in my life as well are continuing again to give that message that, you're evil, you're bad, you're
Hmm.
sinning, and so you grow up believing something is wrong with you. You need to like watch yourself. You're almost scared of yourself, I guess, or half of yourself, or
Right.
something
Right.
like that, instead of really feeling and knowing your own deep goodness, even if you make mistakes, or even if you're learning, or even whatever, to know and feel that goodness and realize that we don't need to be constantly controlled with a million rules or we'll be evil. Like that, just that premise or that theory, like if I'm not all controlled, I'm evil. It's just,
Right.
first, it's not true, and it's just not. I don't think we need that. So most people
Hmm.
left to being themselves and treated well and respectfully, end up shining, actually.
Oh, absolutely. And I love that. And I think
Yeah.
it also brings resilience up a little bit. You go, all right, understand the rules. But there again, I almost felt guilty once I let go of all the beliefs. Then I felt fine. But it's almost
Hmm.
like if you don't follow those rules, I started feeling guilty a little bit,
Yeah. Why is
going,
that?
maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I'm hurting maybe I want everybody to like me, kind of more of a people pleaser type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of, what was one of my lessons as well.
Mhm.
Pretty much everything in the book was my lessons first. It's not that so yeah, that's what I mean by you need like many pieces of the puzzle in order to start to
Right.
feel well. And one of the many pieces is understanding what is people pleasing, and are we doing that, and why are we doing that? And is that a
Mhm.
good idea to live this way, or is that actually unkind? So
Right.
surprisingly, so many times that we think we're kind, we're actually unkind because we've been
Yeah.
taught that things are kind, but actually it's not kind, to do something because you feel guilty and then to not take care of yourself. That's not
Right.
kind,
Right.
right?
Agreed. I
But
love it. Love it. Love it.
but it's just not what we're taught. So
Yeah. And that's
that's
and
why we're
I
here,
agree.
Michelle.
That's right. To spread the word. What and
Spread the word, absolutely.
I commend you for the book too, because one book at a time. You know what I'm saying? As you get it out and people read the
Yeah,
book, it's almost like conversation.
yeah.
Okay, so my next one is like, okay, so the main point is starting to feel alive. And you had
Hmm.
already kind of talked about that is listening to your inner compass.
Yeah.
I loved it
Mm.
because I think when a lot of people ignore it. They
Hmm.
feel they don't listen to the intuition. They don't feel themselves. They don't listen to that inner compass, and then they become unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to trust it, right? So
Hmm.
if I have a feeling that I should do whatever, and everybody else around you is saying, "Oh, that doesn't make sense, and you shouldn't do this," and and you're
Right.
used
Right.
to looking to the outside for your
Yes.
decisions, for approval, for
Hmm.
whatever, and so you're looking always outside for that. And one of the things we talk about in the circles is trying to look inside for those answers, for that
Right.
direction, and following that. And trusting that. And it takes a bit of a leap of faith of some kind, for sure,
Hmm.
because you're going to trust something that just feels right, even though you don't know what's going to happen, you don't know where it's going to go, or
Right.
all that, but there's an element of trust in there, that if you follow what feels right for you, that this is the way to go, right? So it's not easy
Absolutely.
because, again, people don't encourage each other to do that. So you really have to
Right.
develop this, like, no, I'm doing this anyways. Like, that's hard. It takes courage. It takes a lot of courage to listen to that.
Becoming your own
Yeah.
warrior, basically.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
we've been
Soft and
talking.
strong. Yeah. Soft and strong.
It's so funny because the next one, expanding your being, is the main topic. And guess what I
Mm.
put? We've already talked about it. No more people pleasing.
It's a huge one. It's a huge one. It can probably, I could have made it three-quarters of the book, but there were so many other pieces. But
Oh,
yeah,
right, right, right. But
it's a
yeah,
very big one. Yeah.
but that
And we need
resonate.
to.
Yeah. And then we were talking about getting out of your uncomfortable zone, and it's for time for courage. What we just
Yeah.
talked about when you're doing listening to your inner compass. you get uncomfortable because it's something, a different feeling. You got to let it, you got to feel into it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
people call it the comfort zone, but really the real word, I wouldn't say it's your comfort zone. You're
Okay.
actually in you can be actually in an uncomfortable zone. It's just you know it. So it's
Right.
comfort because it's known,
Yeah.
versus unknown, but it doesn't mean it's good or best thing for you. It's just what
Right.
you know. So you could be actually comfortable in an abusive relationship because that's what you know, and you don't know what's going to happen if I
That's true.
leave or if I'm this, and you don't know what's going to happen. So it's more the unknown, which of course, for many people is very frightening until you get used to that, and you get used to saying, I'm fine with not knowing what's going to happen. I'm going to follow my things anyways, and well, we'll see what happens, and I'm just
Right.
going to do it. So
Right.
it's a different approach than trying to always, predict and know what's going to happen. Then it's going to be just based on what you know, and you're
Mhm.
not really leaving space for new things you don't know, different
Right.
possibilities that can happen that are not in your, that you don't know how it'll work out that way. So
Like you
my
said, the
tendon,
courage.
yeah, it takes courage though. It takes courage to follow that inner whatever it is, wherever it comes from, and just
Oh,
say yes to that.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
you made a very important point as well. Whenever, you know, like if you're in an abusive situation, it's almost like you're having to break that cycle
Yeah.
of, family to family to family, but you find something about inside yourself that you can actually have the courage to break that cycle as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Uh,
hard because
yeah.
sometimes it's been passed generation to generation,
Hmm.
thousand. You're not breaking like one relationship, you're breaking thousands of years of ways that people have
Absolutely.
been together. So for sure, it's going to take sometimes a ton of courage, and you might find yourself alone temporarily too. And so be it.
Yeah. Oh, I
Better
love it.
that way. And there's
Mhm.
nothing. You'll find your way in different ways after that.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Well,
yeah.
that almost like, because I already read the very last chapter. I've already read that at the
Mm.
beginning. But
Okay.
uncontrollable power, constantly
Mm.
learning and growing, and that's exactly
Mm.
what we're talking about right now. See, and that
Mm.
interesting, like you said, the puzzle pieces kind of fit together, and everything we're talking
Mm.
about kind of brings that full circle. See, I'm going
Yeah.
to use that circle.
It's all about circles, me and you, Michelle. Eh? We love.
That's
I also
exactly.
love circles. Yeah.
Exactly right. To me, because, it's life. It's like a continuation, life
Yeah.
after life. You don't ever die. It just keeps going around and around and around. And you're learning and
Cycle.
you're growing, that kind of thing. So that's
Yeah.
why, yeah, I absolutely love circles. All right. So let's talk about and I have it right here. Oh, good. You can see everything. Okay. So what I have put up is the Courage Circle weekly group that Sandy has. Okay. And you can go to her website to read all about it, but kind of explain how you set this up and what each meeting looks like.
Yeah. So, I mean, after doing the book, I realized, okay, I feel like I should, again, I feel like there was
Mhm.
nothing else. I feel
Right.
like I should like create some kind of group to discuss these topics because I sure hell wish I had a group to discuss these topics when I needed it.
Yeah.
And so I thought, it would be really nice to share some of these ideas with others and discuss them. Not in like necessarily just helping. It's really discussion, just like school should be in a way.
Hmm.
And so I spoke to a friend of mine at a yoga studio and organized to start meeting
Cool.
once a week there.
Okay.
So we meet where about different people come. So the group is probably on Meetup, maybe 500, 600 people, but every week about 25 people come
Hmm.
to discuss different topic every single week. But the big main important thing is, I think, the tone of the discussion. So it's not we're discussing topics. That we set the tone at the beginning of how we listen to each other and how to respect each person's experience and not to, we're not there. We drop our titles right away. So we don't care. Are you a lawyer? Are you an engineer? Are you that? Like
Right.
nobody cares about that. We're just human beings here,
Hmm.
learning and for each one of us. And so we discuss a different topic every single week. So, last week was about, what is victim mentality? This week we're doing Sunday is forgiveness. What's forgiveness? And each
Right.
person just goes around and says whatever they want, and people listen. And what comes out of these circles is amazing because people are
Yeah.
very open and very
Right.
honest. And we don't have so many places in our world, I think, where people can sit together and just be honest and respectful like that. Like I haven't
Right.
really seen it. Yeah.
And
So
I can see, you planting the seed as well, because I think other people can also, use your book as well to
yeah.
develop another circle
Yes,
and,
I wish
from
they
where they
would.
are, and so
I
it kind
yeah.
of continues from
Yeah,
group
I
to
mean, I
group.
wish people would, take a book, start a little like discussion group of some
Mhm.
kind and meet with whoever, meet every week and just talk about one of the page because, each section, as you said, is like one page or one and a half
Oh,
page.
yeah.
So meet
Right.
and discuss what, am I people pleasing? Maybe read a page or two. And it's incredible the discussions that can come out and how we can learn
Mhm.
from this. And
Mhm.
I wish it was something we learn more, at younger ages, like in school. I know
Yeah.
math, biology, and everything else I learned was important, but
Right.
this stuff is very important and
Absolutely.
not very well discussed and taught, I think.
Right. But you know what? Sometimes there's a time and purpose for it because sometimes people
Yeah,
are not ready,
sure.
to
Yeah.
go through that self-examining that you have to go through.
Oh,
So
yeah.
to me, it's very timely because I think
Mm.
right now, and I always hate to bring up COVID because it's always, that magical or not magical word, but talking about how, a lot of people change through it.
Oh,
And then a lot
yeah.
of people need, because they're so lonely right now, they need to really look inside and need
Yeah.
that support. So thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
Sandy, and writing your
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, and I think also just in terms of the level of loneliness that we
Mhm.
see or experience ourselves, for me it makes a lot of sense because walking around dealing just superficially all the time without being honest and
Mhm.
open, that doesn't feel like connection in a deep way. So no wonder people are quite lonely because they don't actually connect at a deeper level with each other. They're not used to doing that. We haven't been shown how to do that.
Right.
And so when you start connecting with others, like in the circle and just, that level of sharing, people really feel like, woof, like it's a breath of fresh air just to be with human beings, like, and,
Mhm.
talking not just, fake or not
Right.
truth, non-truth basically about how we feel or what's going on for us, right? We kind of cover it up and pretend something else is happening.
Right.
So it's also about learning to connect with others, and that will help the loneliness because we are naturally, intended to connect with ourselves, with others, with our earth.
Right.
That's our natural state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that we did not talk about that you want to make sure that we did?
There's so many topics, but I
Yeah.
appreciate, Michelle, that you're even giving the opportunity for me to talk about this. For me, this is more than just about like a book or not a book. It's a little bit my little activism in the world to start seeing where I can discuss these topics as much as I can for our world to be a little healthier in whatever way I'm able to contribute to that. So I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you having
Oh, absolutely. Are you ready for the wheel?
me. For the what?
For the
Oh,
wheel?
your wheel. Okay, I heard your wheel. I'm like, sure. I don't know what it is, but I'm
All
excited.
right,
Okay, I
this is the
have to
last
click and spin.
question.
Oh,
So, I
that's
know
so fun you
sometimes
do this.
sometimes the Texas accent that gets in the
Uh-huh.
way, so that's
Yes.
where I blame
No,
on.
it's cute. No, it's so cute.
Oh, wait,
Okay, so I
wrong
have to
one.
click
Okay, there we
something.
go. We're
All
gonna
right.
let it spin. I was spinning on the wrong one.
That's so cute that you like put a game for
Oh, I
we
know.
all like
It's
to
fun, isn't
play. I
it?
love that.
Woo! So what do you feel is your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, fun question. Well, you'd think it would be. I mean, I have a very prestigious degree,
Oh,
considering by most
yeah.
people. I'm a graduate of law school, of a very prestigious law school. So
Mhm.
you'd think that would be my greatest accomplishment, but it's
Right,
not. What is my greatest accomplishment is for me to arrive to a place where I feel well in the world. So that for me is my greatest accomplishment that I go around in the world, being myself, and just feeling okay. So I feel very proud to have accomplished that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I
Yeah,
love it, Sandy. And
yeah,
thank you. And it does. It just makes you, so much more joy in your life when you feel like you've accomplished what you need to
yeah.
with your soul.
Yes.
So thank you, thank you, thank you. Where can they reach you before we say goodbye?
So when my website is thecouragecircle.com. So you can contact me there. You can join the meetup if you want, or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. And again, I
Thanks,
hope that
Michelle.
brought you. Thank you, Sandy. And I hope that this, how could you not get inspiration from this? So, but I hope that it does resonate with you, and I hope it brings you joy and inspiration. And I will see you next week for more inspiration.